Good morning, folks. The Real Captain Kirk here, live from Weather Trends 360 studio here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It is Monday morning. I'm going to do a quick recap here of spring and summer here across the U.S., world outlook, meteor showers, moon conjunctions, and little Angelina Kirk here in her little car here getting ready for back to school here at the end. Real quick, this chart on the left is U.S. max temperatures versus average. Again, for the nation as a whole, going back to May 1st and looking all the way out through Labor Day. And the chart on the right is temperatures year on year, changing from last year. So the bars show you was dramatically colder, again, obviously back in May and through the spring, and not as extreme here as of late. Had some warmer weeks, but again, only about 3.5 weeks this year that have, so far this spring, summer, that have trended hotter than last year. Overall, the 1 May through 11 August period was the coolest in 5 years for the U.S. as a whole, about average. Hot 90-degree days were actually down 16% nationally. And it was the wettest in 4 years, third wettest in 30 years. Looking ahead here, again, we do see, again, this week a little bit cooler toward the later end part of this week, and then a bigger warm-up for next week. So pretty much a nice big warm surge here coming next week across the U.S. We look at this week, actually, 12 through 18 August. Weekly rainfall totals estimates on the left, and map on the right is max temps versus average. Again, cool across the northern tier of the country, hot still down in the south central Texas, southeast. That southeast heat will be building into the mid-Atlantic and eventually here in the northeast. Cooler than last year, 13th warmest in 30 years, so about average for the nation as a whole, splitting the hots versus the cold to the north. A little drier than last year, but still 6th wettest in 30 years, so above average for the nation as a whole, with the wet spots down in the southeast, parts of the Midwest, and upper plains. Jumping ahead here to next week, 19th through the 25th of August, you can see that heat kind of shifts a bit into the northeast, so we get another warm week. Again, keep in mind this heat this time of year is not going to be as extreme as the heat that we had back in July, but again, quite a bit above average to say the least here in the northeast next week. Warmest in 8 years nationally, 4th warmest in 30 years, again above average nationally. Wettest in 11 years, 4th wettest in 30 years. And again, so with that heat, we will have some thunderstorm activity for parts of the mid-Atlantic, but again, it will feel like a warmer week here as we start to round out August. If we look at the tropics here, again, Hurricane Center in Colorado State did up their forecast to be a little more slightly above average. Recall that everybody last year, this time of year, they actually downgraded everything and end up being a catastrophic end of the season. So we're a little, not as concerned as maybe those outlooks. Again, we're still going to lean to an average to slightly below average season. We are still very worried about Florida. The southeast coast is an area where the waters are very warm and just less shear, but right now we still have a ton of shear out there and dust off Africa. Models are hinting at something here, but we'll see in a couple weeks. But the season is starting to ramp up, so it is the core of the season as we get into late August, September, obviously. So something to watch as we get into the weeks ahead here. If we look at the world 2-week aggregate overall, Canada's really cold. It's pretty amazing how cold it is in Canada, yet the U.S. is going to be on the warm side. So the next 2 weeks as a whole, Canada coolest in 12 years. Europe's the coolest in 5 years. Australia, for their winter down under, is the coolest in 5 years. U.S. warmest in 3 years, and the hot spots around Brazil. Brazil warmest in 5 years for this 12 through 25 August period. Some exciting things here in the sky here as of late. Got another one here tonight. The Perseid meteor shower peaks tonight. After about 10 p.m., you can start to see some. Unfortunately, the moon's not quite full, about 2 days away from a full moon here, but there will be a lot of kind of light pollution from the moon. But 12 to 4 a.m. is typically the best time to see these meteor showers, and this is the biggest of the year, 75 or so meteors per hour. So in theory, about one every minute after midnight. So don't expect that big fireball in the sky. Unfortunately, the moon's going to be its own little ball and keep us a little bit on the bright side. This past weekend, we actually had a little bit of a conjunction with the moon and Jupiter, and Saturn was off to the east. So Mrs. Captain Kirk took some of these photos here to capture the conjunction on the deck here. Came home the other day and everything was rearranged beautifully. See everything to maximize the viewing here of the moon conjunction. It was actually very pretty. The little one is gearing up for going back to school, actually going to school. It's hard to believe, preschool already, but only about 3 weeks away for us here in the Northeast for back to school. Again, a lot of the kids in the South are already started school. But anyway, she was absolutely adorable here driving her little car. So we'll let you watch her. She knows how to do the drive full speed, reverse, park it, watch TV at the same time. look up in the sky, so she can do it all. So, in any event, folks, we hope you have a great week, and we will be back here this time next week.